This is me 20 minutes being in the sun. I don't think Ashkenazis are from sunny areas. I don't know. What do y'all think? I don't know. Somebody tells me that my ancestral DNA is not from Palestine. I don't know. Something about, I don't know, maybe.
So I am what's called an Ashkenazi Jew, which you can kind of tell by my appearance. I look fairly white. Ashkenazi Jews are of Eastern European descent. And there's a lot of hear and say about what we are actually, but we have come to America for the most part from Eastern Europe. And the funny thing is, there was a bottleneck of Jews a couple hundred years ago in Eastern Europe. And a lot of us were murdered. This is not Holocaust related. This is another murder. If you want to look up the Wikipedia page, Genocide Attempts at the Jews, you can have a good time with that page. It's pretty depressing. But the funny thing about this one is that there were only about 300 Jews at one point in Europe. So as a direct result of this bottleneck, which was either in the 1300s or the 1400s, all Ashkenazi European descended Jews are at least 30th cousins. I'll say that again, at least 30th cousins. So I am related, at least partially by blood, to every Ashkenazi Jew I meet. And this is one of the reasons that we get blood tests before we get married. Also because we have genetic diseases and stuff because of the whole intermarrying thing. But chances are, if you find someone who came from the same village as you, you're related. There are many times when my big brother, when he was a baby, would run up to people and say, Zadie, Zadie, who were not Zadie. They just looked like him. So these things happen. Welcome to being Jewish. It's super fun. We have cookies and cousins. She didn't have to cut me off. We were nothing. Your love should treat me
YouTube, welcome back to all my new viewers and my regulars to another episode of Tay Wizzle Reactions. We're on our way to 250 subscribers. Thanks to you all for tapping into the channel, showing me your love and support. I really appreciate it. If you want to catch me live, you can go on TikTok.com/TayWizzle276 at 8 a.m. Or you can go to kick.com/TayWizzle every day at 5 p.m. except for Saturdays. And if you got any clips that you want to send me, you can put it in the X community. Link will be down in the description. Today we are reacting to the confessions of Ashkenazi Jews that they are not the chosen Jews. They are not the chosen people. And who have they been impersonating? The black people, the tribe of Judah. In this video, not only are we going to figure out who they are and where they come from, but we're going to figure out who we are, and we're going to put names to these tribes. Now, it's been speculated for a while that they aren't the real Jews, but in this world and on the internet, in order to be believed and accepted, you need to come with the fact. So the receipts show, and one of the sources is the Bible itself and all the religious texts, including the Torah, that Noah had 3 sons. These sons make up the people and the races of the world. They're going to break down exactly the names of these sons and which races fathered the ethnic groups we all know today. And some of these accounts is actually by full-bred Ashkenazis. So I think that should speak volumes for itself. But not only do we have the religious text to rely on as sources and proof for the facts that's presented, but we also have backup by the land and the universe itself. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. And as always, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, consider hitting that like and subscribe button so you can be notified when I drop a video or when I'm updating you on the old one. And let's ride.
So I am a full 100% blooded Ashkenazi Jew, and as a full-blooded Jew, I have never in my entire life felt like I deserve a piece of the Holy Land. It's like I realize that my descent is that of European and not Arabic. The people who live in the desert have dark skin. It's quite obvious that the Arabs have been there a lot longer than the Europeans who call themselves the Jews. So, just a little piece of factual information for y'all on this nice Sunday afternoon. Have a good day, y'all.
Ashkenazi woman confession. Yesterday on one of the videos, someone asked me, am I Jewish? And before I was able to answer them in depth and in full truth, because I am a saved Christian, they began to attack me so viciously that I was not able to answer them. So, let me answer in this video. Am I Jewish? According to the modern world, they would interpret an Ashkenazi Jew as Jewish, right? But theologically, Ashkenazi Khazarian Jews, like my blood family, do not follow the Torah. They're the Jews who call themselves Jews but aren't really Jews. Revelation 3:9. So theologically, a way that we could tell these people apart is that my family raised me in Kabbalah and with the Talmud and lots of mysticism that is not in the Torah, okay? So Jewish people, real Jewish people, follow the Torah, and Jesus fulfilled the Torah, so now Judaism is fulfilled, and those people should be Christians. So unfortunately, the Jews who do reject Jesus do end up part of the synagogue of Satan, even though they were originally Jews. Like in the sense that like the rejecting of Christ renders them the same as like a Khazarian Ashkenazi, right? Like myself. But like I'm saved by Jesus. Jesus saved me from Kabbalah and sex trafficking, and I was trafficked because of Kabbalah. My brother took his own life because of my mother's worship of Kabbalah. So yes, Jesus saved me from Kabbalah, and Kabbalah comes from Ashkenazi Khazarian ideology. It's the worship of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So no, it's not anti-Semitic of me. Hi, I'm Ashkenazi. Like, hello. That's why everyone tells me I look like so and so from Hollywood, or so this lady from Hollywood. You look like a white woman with brown hair from Hollywood with brown eyes. Yeah, I'm Ashkenazi. Most of the women in Hollywood are Ashkenazi. Most people in Hollywood are Ashkenazi. And the ones who aren't Ashkenazi are, being, directed by those who are Ashkenazi. So, anywho, I wanted to clarify that no, I'm not a real Jew, ethnically. And that's gonna make a lot of Ashkis really mad. They call themselves Ashkis instead of Ashkenazis because we don't want that N-word attached there, right? We don't want that Nazi word. Yeah, there's no reason. there's a whole, like, let me show you something, okay? Straight from NBC News. It's disclosure. It's called revelation of the method. When they tell you what they're doing, like this, it's part of the occult. It's an occult ritual called revelation of the method to tell you, like, what they're doing, okay? So yeah, most Ashkenazi Jews are genetically European. Surprising study, surprising. Oh, I'm so surprised.
And that would make sense why the Jews of Hollywood is so, like, why Hollywood is so evil. They say Hollywood ran by Jewish people. And here we have the first person who said basically the Jews that's impersonating the black Jews right now is really a part of the synagogue of Satan. They do not follow the Torah. They actually believe in the Kabbalah and the Talmud.
Today is old when I found out.
Ashkenaz, the eldest of the three sons of Gomer, the son of Japhet, and the name of a kingdom, referencing these same verses. Most likely it was the Scythian kingdom. And then after a few hundred years, they're lost from history. So they have zero to do with Israel, zero to do with Jewish people, zero to do with Ashkenazi Jews today. Zero. You say, well, where did the name Ashkenazi came from? So a little over 1,000 years ago, as Jewish people scattered around the world had now emigrated in Europe and now were living in the Rhineland in Germany, they looked at the name Gomer in Genesis 10, and they connected Gomer with Germany, so they took on the identity of the name Ashkenaz. It has nothing to do with Ashkenaz in the Bible, which is a descendant of Japhet. It's just a name that was taken. Okay, it's that simple. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin or anything else. It was shortened from a Russian name when my grandfather came over at Ellis Island. The name got shortened to Brown. It's just a name. That's all it is. So the idea that Ashkenazi Jews are descended from Japhet is a myth, 100% false, zero truth to it. Just study the history, look into it, check the Bible dictionaries, encyclopedias, the archaeological works, you'll find the exact same.
So, I'm actually of the Ashkenazi, meaning I descend from Ashkenazi Jews, and I've got the Lynch syndrome to prove it. And I am not happy with my distant cousins right now. Apparently, I think it's Shoreview, New Jersey, or something like that. A bunch of welfare queens. The way they conduct themselves is poor behavior at the best. And then we got this whole situation with the Palestinians. I just, I was so proud to be Jewish at one point, to be descended from Jews. Then I found out, I'm from the Ashkenazim, which means I'm not from the true Jews. Thankfully, I do have some true Jewish in my history. But it still hurt. And then I find out that Romeo and Juliet without the Romeo, that was the whole Palestinian situation. Somebody got butthurt at some point years and years and years ago. And then it started a blood feud. One of those blood feuds where it's we will blood feud. And then they just needed some kind of, I'm not going to use the word psychopath, but they needed somebody with the morals and ethics to do it. These same people who, you remember in the Bible, the story of Noah? So basically, they were cast out into the desert. And then some people started worshiping this cow god called Baal, because there's Yahweh and Baal. They are both children of El. Not joking, you can look it up. But the way Baal handles things, the reason people are worshiping them, Baal requires sacrifice, which is the definition of a demon. If you can't have power without sacrifice, you're a demon. And Baal was the god of fertility and I believe storms. Storms might have been Yahweh. But either way, certain promises weren't delivered, which is why Baal later became known as the Lord of Lies. Basically, you had famine at some point. That's but we worshipped you and it didn't deliver. Oh, Lord of Lies. That's the simple breakdown. Now, people that still believe in worshiping Baal the traditional way, I remember seeing the reactions of Netanyahu, and then right after the statues of Baal were burning, saying this means war. So you got a permanent blood feud. You've got the lesser deity turned demigod, if not demon, more on the demon side. You've got self-righteous people who don't actually belong to, they're adopted Jews, inherited, and hated throughout modern history for all the different ways that they play with money and currency. I just found out how, the whole thing with Hitler started. It was after a famine that was artificially created by the Ashkenazi Jews of that time. I just found this out, and I'm going to verify it, but when you have such a consistent history throughout generations and hundreds of years, if not thousands, kind of a problem. You tell me if I'm wrong. I'm really bothered by some of the actions and some of the, when it comes to how my distant cousins view women and SA, not okay. So I'm just venting how bothered I am right now, because everything about this is just not right. It should not be adding up this way. I love all of you, and as always, stay amazing.
Shalom, shalom, mishpacha. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. I'm your host, Rabbi Yehud Ben Shomer, and today I'm going to be talking about Black Hebrewism. Now, before I get into reading the blog I wrote regarding Black Hebrewism, let me preface it with this. I believe that Adam and Eve and Noah and his wife were black. Scientifically speaking, I don't see how it could be any other way. For there to be such variation of color in the human race, you have to have a lot of melanin, skin tone, skin color, before you can have a lack of it. You can't have it the other way around. You can't have hardly any melanin or skin color and all of a sudden have more. It just doesn't work that way. So I believe that Adam and Eve, and I believe that Noah and his wife were black, and according to Jewish tradition and of the rabbis and sages of blessed memory, that either Noah and his wife had triplets, or the 3 sons they had at separate times. But nonetheless, whether they were triplets or whether they were birthed at different times, they are said to have had various shades of melanin. You have Ham, which is the father of all the black peoples of the world and their ethnicities. Even the old woodcut pictures in Bible show Pharaoh as a black man. Ham was the father of the Canaanites, and they were known as very dark people. I do not believe that Ham or his son was cursed with dark skin color because of some sort of sin or some sort of curse that Noah put upon them. That's ridiculous, because Noah himself was black. The color of their skin had nothing to do with the curse that's mentioned in Scripture. You have Shem, which is the father of all the Semitic and Arabic peoples, which he was dark-skinned as well, but not as dark as his brother Ham. Then you have Yafet, or Japheth, which is believed to be the father of all the Caucasian and Asian peoples of the world, and he had the lightest amount of skin color. And that is how, after the flood, we have all the various different ethnicities and skin colors and skin tones in the world today.
The Bible warns us that Israel of today, I want you to understand this, is not Hebrew, nor of the sons of Jacob. I want to say it again. The modern day state, it's not a nation, of Israel, they are not Hebrew, neither are they the sons of Jacob. When you try to tell somebody this, it's like there's cognitive dissonance. They can't think through the statement of what you're saying. They automatically think that any person that joins the nation and becomes an Israeli is actually an Israelite of Old Testament, but that simply is not true. The Ashkenazis, they are not Hebrews. If you don't know what that is, I want you to look it up, and I want you to educate yourself. The Khazarians, they are not Hebrews at all. I want you to look it up and educate yourself and understand that the majority of the people that live in the modern day state of Israel are actually Europeans, and they do not practice anything from the Bible. The majority of them are absolutely atheist. Can you imagine a European atheist trying to argue with you and tell you, well, I am God's chosen people? And you say, but you're a European and you're an atheist. How in the world could that make you God's chosen people? In fact, in 1 Peter 2, it literally says that believers who were not of a nation are now God's chosen people by faith in Jesus Christ. That's 1 Peter 2. You need to read it. That's written to saved believers, the church, the congregation of the upright, the assembly that trusted in the Lord Jesus Christ, and it's written for all nations. Modern Israel is not Semitic. I want you to understand that.
Okay, so the modern day Jews that's occupying Israel at this moment, present day, they operate in more like a cult or like a regime that they accusing Iran of being. Not only are they not of any descent of the people from that land, they don't even practice any religion, the people from that land. They don't follow the Bible. They lying, impersonating people, stealing names, and now they over there causing war with Palestine and Iran. Distant relatives are the very same people that they are claiming to be. They not Hebrew, or are they related to any of the key characters in the Bible?
Regal, African, nomadic Jews from the house of Judah. In 1694, they owned 9,000 enslaved from the house of Judah. Jewish slaving is confirmed in the Jewish Encyclopedia. But you start talking about it, again, you're digging into historical truth, not sacred history. So why does the American black history exist solely for the past 400 years, beginning in the 17th century? And all you hear about is, well, the transatlantic slave trade. But there's so much more than the transatlantic slave trade. You've got to go further back. You had Islamic trappers that worked with the indigenous black Africans to trap the regal Negro House of Judah. And then you had them sell them to the Ashkenazi ship merchants, along with many Portuguese and British Ashkenazi. If King David was an Ashkenazi, white Jew with a reddish complexion, he would have been described as Laban, an albino, but he wasn't. So King David looked more like Malcolm X than he did King Henry VIII, right? You're of King David's tribe. Don't convert to the tribe that enslaved you and then sold you to Ashkenazi ship merchants. More black Negroes have been lost to Islam in the 20th century than any other believing, Bible-believing group. It's outrageous because they don't want you to know who you really are and what tribe you're from, but you're not from Muhammad's tribe. Never were. Never were.
So I am what's called an Ashkenazi Jew, which you can kind of tell by my appearance. I look fairly white. Ashkenazi Jews are of Eastern European descent. And there's a lot of hear and say about what we are actually, but we have come to America for the most part from Eastern Europe. And the funny thing is, there was a bottleneck of Jews a couple hundred years ago in Eastern Europe. And a lot of us were murdered. This is not Holocaust related. This is another murder. If you want to look up the Wikipedia page, Genocide Attempts at the Jews, you can have a good time with that page. It's pretty depressing. But the funny thing about this one is that there were only about 300 Jews at one point in Europe. So as a direct result of this bottleneck, which was either in the 1300s or the 1400s, all Ashkenazi European descended Jews are at least 30th cousins. I'll say that again, at least 30th cousins. So I am related, at least partially by blood, to every Ashkenazi Jew I meet. And this is one of the reasons that we get blood tests before we get married. Also because we have genetic diseases and stuff because of the whole intermarrying thing. But chances are, if you find someone who came from the same village as you, you're related. There are many times when my big brother, when he was a baby, would run up to people and say, Zadie, Zadie, who were not Zadie. They just looked like him. So these things happen. Welcome to being Jewish. It's super fun. We have cookies and cousins.
She sounded like she liked that cousin shit.
It's fake. Jews from Europe are fake Jews. These are Ashkenazi, satanic fake Jews. Kill.
But yeah, they keep saying they satanic because they don't follow nothing pertaining to the Bible. So that means they don't follow Jesus, they don't follow God. And we starting to see a little bit of their real goal because they keep starting all these wars. They even got us, meaning U.S., into it. They over there just putting the state of the world in a bad place. But now that they're being exposed, it's up to us to make sure they don't cause no more chaos. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. What y'all think about, because we knew they wasn't the real Jews, but now we're figuring out, these people is really the synagogue of Satan. They follow the devil. When you look at it like that, certain things that they doing start to make sense, too. They've been behind a lot of hate in the world. But what y'all think about them impersonating us, the black people, the tribe of Judah, the chosen people? What y'all think about them going over there in Israel, just starting a bunch of chaos, wars, and ruckus with our own people? Or do you believe that they are the real Jews? Let me know what you think down in the comment. And as always, if you made it this far in the video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We on our way to 250 subscribers. Thanks to you all tapping into the channel, showing me y'all love and support. I really appreciate it. If you want to catch me live, you can go to TikTok.com/TayWizzle276 at 8 a.m. every morning, or you could go to Kick.com/TayWizzle at 5 p.m. every day except Saturdays. And if you got any clips that you want to send me, put it in the X community. The link will be down in the description. I love each and every one of y'all. Thank you for tapping in with me and pulling up, showing me y'all support, spending y'all time with me. I'm going to see y'all on the next video, alright? Thank you for watching.
She didn't have to cut me off. We were nothing.